What's up, Burn Nation? Welcome to the Burn Bootcamp podcast. Today, I have a very special interview as we continue our Ultimate Burn Athlete Game winners. I have Kyle Horner in the building, who is a trainer at Holly Springs and our men's Masters winner. Let's go, baby! Dude, it was so fun to watch you getting after it, competing on the floor in the first ever Masters division. Congratulations on the inaugural championship.
Thank you.
It was, like I said, so fun to watch all of it, and your kids and your family there just kind of swarm you at after you won. And we're gonna get into that, but I first want to start to just let Burn Nation know who you are. I've got a chance to know you. We had to meet at Athlete Games, and I'm a reader of people and energy. That's like one of the only things I'm good at. You have such like a pure heart. Your family is so pure, and we love that about you. So thank you for being here. First of all, driving in from Raleigh, Holly Springs, and we want to hear about your story. Okay, so you get to start back when Kyle grew up, and then take us all the way to the time where you're at, like coming to Burn. How about that? We'll start there.
That sounds great.
All
well,
right.
Again, thank you for having me. This
sure.
is exciting. I've never been on a podcast or anything before, so.
Well, you're going to be famous now after this in Burn Nation, and we're going to go to your Holly Springs page, and there's going to be a lot more followers on your Holly Springs page after this. They're going to really want to see what's going on with Kyle Horner.
It's exciting, So this whole thing with Athlete Games and Burn has been a great experience the last couple weeks. But so really just growing up, I've been in sports all my life. I mean, I have 4 sports year round. Just always kept busy, had that competitive edge that's always been in my life. Even growing up through high school, college, I ran track and cross country. I developed that discipline, that leadership that I carry through even in my healthcare career that I have. And so, it really is the foundation for me, was always fitness and being involved. And so after college, I was kind of looking for something that was a little bit more than just running, just running down the street.
What was your event?
I was a miler.
You're a miler?
Was my main event was a miler. Really enjoyed it. You kind of have to be a little warped in the mind.
You'll be a little crazy, man. A little
to
crazy.
like
It's
that
pretty
event,
hardcore.
But yes.
And you got to be pretty little warped in the mind. I see how that translates to Athlete Games
Yes.
pretty well, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So, so down in Florida, I kind of started dabbling in some triathlons. Again, something just different than just running. And then I did find CrossFit. And that was obviously completely different. I was never big into lifting weights and things like that. And so got involved with CrossFit and really enjoyed that. And started even getting into competitions. And so that was, kind of satisfying that thirst that I had. And so about 7 years ago, we moved to Holly Springs, North Carolina. And I figured, okay, I'm going to find a box, around there and had joined. And I figured it was going to be kind of the same thing, get involved and continue to do some competition and stuff. But at that time, my wife had just had graduated and became a midwife. And so it was her first job, and I was in cardiac surgery. So we both had call schedules. And the time that we had available outside of work and family was just very, very small. And so it just wasn't realistic. Basically had to step back. And really, I spent a bunch of money on creating this gym in my garage that I used on a sporadic occasion. And so really just was kind of in this limbo of, where I was going to work out and things. And my wife, April, had been with Orange Theory. She was still looking for something else as well. But then she had heard about Burn. And so I'm like, all right, I'll go check out this place. And I wanted to actually get her a membership Mother's Day back in 2018. And I still remember, and many of you know, Emmett Terrell. Mm-hmm. I walk in there, and this guy had so much energy. I couldn't even fathom. He was just, the excitement that he brought. And so I'm like, okay, this will be good. My wife will enjoy this and find something that she really can kind of grow in. And come to find out, they have childcare, and they had some camps for guys. And so I started going for about a year. And so I could go and work out with my wife, and so it was good. And I didn't feel that as before, I didn't feel like I could sacrifice more time away from her or the kids. And so a lot of times with meeting at Burn, that was the first time I got to see her for the day, and we get to go work out together. So we really enjoyed that. Fast forward about a year later, is when I ended up becoming, or actually considering becoming, a trainer. Kate, one of our other trainers, I think after one of the camps, she was just kind of jokingly, she was like, you want to train this afternoon? I was like, train? What do you mean? And she's like, yeah, like actually instruct the camp. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I guess I've never thought about that. I mean, I could do that. And she's like, well, you should talk to Emmett, like let's maybe consider doing this. I'm like, okay. So I talked to Emmett, had some good conversations, and being in different modalities, working out and fitness, and then even knowing from a healthcare, the anatomy, physiology, all that stuff. I was like, yeah, it would be a natural kind of place to jump into. But only at that time, I was actually getting ready to start my MBA in health administration. And so I said, okay, well, I got about 6 weeks before I start that. If I'm going to do this, I got to start studying and really see if I pass, then I'll become a trainer and help out here. If not, I'm not doing it. I'm not taking it again.
One and done.
So yeah, I mean, like, I don't have time after. I got 6 weeks. I got a 6-week window, and so legit,
guys, I got 6 weeks. I'm gonna go Hail Mary, and if I catch you, we touchdown. If not, game over.
Exactly.
I love that.
And
funny.
That's how I actually became a trainer.
Okay.
And started to help out at Holly Springs there, and really overall just burn as a whole, has really been, I think, one of the best decisions we've made for our family. The community, the friends, the memories the kids have made in the Child Watch. I know they've had a lot of fun with that, and over the last 4 years, it's been an integral part of our family. And I've always lived by the saying of those that pray together stay together. I think also too is those that work out together stay together. So on top of that, that's something that my wife and I really cherish with being in the burn community, and then even being a trainer. But I guess the biggest key with even being a trainer and why I even considered it. So many of you probably know, healthcare. It doesn't take you to be in healthcare to know that it's a broken system. And so I can spend, time with patients here and there. I can cure some short-term ailments and things like that and help maintain chronic health issues. But I think the biggest thing and healthcare in our society is lacking is the whole preventative medicine, getting to it before it gets to the point of disease. And so as a trainer, not only just for myself, but just to call out to all the trainers out there, is that we have the potential to be a huge factor in the future of healthcare, because all the hospitals, they're overcrowded. We have patients waiting in the ER frequently overnight for a bed because it's overcapacity. People are sicker. We got short staffing just like everywhere. That's on top of the nursing shortages that have been around for years. So I think as a trainer, and why I ultimately stepped into this role, is like seeing it that I can help people before they get to the hospital. Yeah. Help, them change their lifestyle for a healthier lifestyle, and grow that fitness for themselves. And so, that's kind of my call out as the trainer, and for those out there, is that we have a great potential in front of us to make a difference.
I couldn't agree more. Like, being on the front lines is so important. And to me, what I've observed since 2012, when I became a trainer, 2011 really, post baseball, was that there was nobody was really taking the front lines of health serious. And it was more of like maybe like a post-college job for some ex-athletes to go make a little coin before they actually go into the real world of the fitness industry. The front lines was almost like the stepping stone. And I saw this opportunity to provide an environment where we could help trainers who, otherwise had the preconceived notion of, I don't want to just make $30,000 and go to all these different gyms and go teach a cycle class here and a spin class there and a boot camp over here. That's like the traditional personal training pathway, right? You go to school, spend all this money, go to exercise science, did you get your NASM or your C or
ACE.
your ACE?
Yep.
You know, get one of those. I mean, obviously, I wanted to ask you about your healthcare background, how that helped you with the test. So, because that's a very important question.
Absolutely.
But I couldn't agree with you more that what you're saying is so important for people to listen to, and so I'm not just overemphasizing what you're saying. I'm like double stamping, double clicking, triple clicking on it, because the front lines has to have a place in society, doesn't? So does healthcare, right? And we need both. We need both, but there is a void on both sides, and so it's cool that you're seeing that and then bridging the gap there. How did your healthcare background with anatomy and kinesiology and biology, how did that help you in the pursuit of your ACE? Because if you guys don't know what an ACE is, American Council on Exercise, and it's one of the nationally accredited certifications that the NASM, NASM, I talk about a lot. The NCCPT is one that I know a few of our trainers have, but most of them either have a NASM or an ACE. Those are like the two main preferred ones. And listen, the first time I saw that test, I'm like, all I know is baseball, and like I know baseball terminology and then a little financial terminology from my personal financial planning background, but like this was Spanish to me. Like it was so hard for me, and I want to give people encouragement out there. I did pass it. I ended up passing it. But how did your healthcare background and your preparation for that help you, really flip to the front lines and serve on both sides?
Yeah, I mean, it's really a lot of that anatomy and physiology. I mean, understanding the basics, and then just being able to translate that into basically kind of that exercise physiology aspect. So it's not even only just the healthcare and that knowledge through school and that training, but it's just being around sports in general, understanding the mechanics, being in high level activities of how you perform at a high level and prevent injury and all that stuff are just so vital when you do work out. Everybody gets tired, but being able to focus on your form and stuff like that, and being able to help instruct that by knowing the anatomy and physiology, or things that might be kind of aches and pains of like, hey, let's look at this because your form in this, or even how you carry out your daily activity, may be causing some of these aches and pains. And so, it's just having that whole broader view of not just exercise, but just the overall body and how that all translates together when you go to work out.
Blending your two passions.
Yes,
right? I love that. I love that, man. It's so cool to see family men like yourselves and men of faith like yourselves to be out there chasing the dream, and just like doing as much as we can to give back and serve with the time that we have. And I wanted to ask you something, because I'm a former athlete and I really relate to the void that's left after athletics. Not only a void in just that natural, itch for competition, but also the void in identity. Mm-hmm. You're a miler, right? You said it that way too. Yep. Like, I'm a miler, baby. Like, there's a culture around that. Yep. And then all of a sudden you're not, because you still are at heart. Yeah. But like, where did everything go around me that was once, my identity and who I was? And so I think I would infer that's what made you want to compete in the athlete games and be a part of Burn as a whole. But could you elaborate on that? Like, am I hitting the nail on the head on that? And is that what made you want to compete and then ultimately want to stay, and on top of your family having a place to go? And does that fill a void, like, personally for you?
Yeah, I think you see it throughout all of sports, even professional sports, with these athletes that come back from retirement. Is because that is where you've put your identity, that you've worked so hard to achieve and spent so much time and so much sacrifice for family and things, and that's almost kind of a catch-22, I think, is that these people, athletes and anyone that's wanting to compete has sacrificed so much, but yet you don't want to also leave it, because that is where you built your identity. And so I think through the years, that competitive nature has always been something that has led me to seek something else to compete in, to push myself, and not just be complacent with, just daily life. Sports have been my life. It used to be when I was younger. I think it was probably sports and then women after that. It was just, that was my identity. And so, it's definitely difficult when you step away from stuff like that, like collegiate or professional sports, and not having that of, okay, what am I going to do now? And you see people, they step away completely and never step foot on
Right.
a field or a diamond or a court again, and that's how they deal with that. But I think you get so many people that struggle with that, just trying to find what is going to challenge them to the next thing. And so, I think the next best thing to challenge yourself is to find something to compete in, be a part of, and I think personally, just knowing that, hey, I can still do it. I can still put it to the grind.
Dude, you
if
still
I put
got
my
it, man, that's for sure.
I put my mind to it, then I'm gonna be successful.
Yeah, you for sure got it. I remember. Okay, you were going into the finals, the uncle workout, which is brutal. It's just a brutal workout, and it was so fun to watch you. We have both of the athlete games videos, the full live streams up. So if you guys hadn't seen the live stream videos, you want to go watch Kyle compete. If you go to the second video, you can click the link above. It would take you right to the second video, and there's hopefully we can take them right to the actual uncle event. But if not, it's right at the end. Okay, that second video, scroll through and you can see Kyle competing, and going into the last heat, you're in second place. All right, so it's head to head in uncle, and it's you versus somebody else, and it's you versus the workout itself. Yep. What was going through your mind when you stepped up to that final event, and zoom me into like the hardest moment, or the moment of peak self-doubt? Because I know there was some of it. Like, where was the moment of peak self-doubt for you? And like, what do you say to Kyle inside of your head? And what do you say to your members when it's like time to crush that doubt and like move forward?
Yeah. Honestly, it was when Matt Morris was explaining the workout in regards to the box jumps, because I remember when he had demonstrated before on the videos about, okay, you got to eventually get your foot, both your feet, all the way up in the box. Your heel couldn't be hanging off. But I figured, okay, that's, you hop up there, you step all the way up, you stand up. And when he clarifies, like, no, when you land, both feet have to be on that box. I'm like, okay, I had a strategy. I'm very, very strategic in all this planning and being prepared. And so I knew what I could do in box jumps. I knew how I do box jumps, and I knew I could be successful doing that. And I was actually surprised more people weren't kind of, springing up and down like I was.
You look, just to pause, I don't mean to interrupt, but you, like, it was incredible watching you. Like, dude, your bounce, we call it bounce. Yeah. You got bounce, man. Like, you look like a pogo stick out there, just bam, hitting the floor. Your box jumps were like calf races. Like, you're literally just like propelling yourself off the ground with your calves. I was like, that dude's, he's an animal. How's he doing that?
Yeah, and that was my strategy going, because I've always done well in box jumps. And so that was always my thing, of being able to spring up, because you basically save your quads from actually having to propel yourself up. And so you're really focusing on your calves and Achilles, and save some of those other big muscle groups for for that workout, the sled pushes. And so, but when Matt basically had said, like, okay, your feet have to be all the way up there, I'm like, oh man, I don't know about this. I'm like, do I need to change my strategy or not? And that was kind of the little bit of self-doubt that had crept in. I was like, I know I worked on it, I practiced it, but getting your both feet all the way on, I'm like, this, I could get no reps. I could fall off the box like I did once when when he didn't get that right proportion of basically up and onto the box. And so, ultimately I said, if I'm going to win this, then I got to stick to my strategy, and I just got to push it to the grind. And so, like my running days, when I'm on that track or there's a runner next to me, I'm listening to their respiratory rate. I'm listening to their foot hitting the ground. I can tell when, somebody is, feeling strong, or they're just about that point where they could break a little bit. And so when we started with the battle ropes, it was kind of, I had my eye on Matt, and so I saw and heard the counting of, okay, I'm ahead by 10 battle rope slams. All right, let's push this pace a little bit here and see if he responds, and didn't respond. And so I'm like, okay, let's get through this real quick. And so I'm like, okay, I can do the battle ropes. And then when we got on the sled push, I remembered that there is a difference between the gray sliders and the blue one. And I had practiced with the gray ones, and I was like, oh boy, this is going to be tougher than I thought it was going to be. But sticking to my strategy on the box jumps, I mean, definitely paid off. And so it was just basically going out there, giving it everything I could, and sticking to what I was feeling like I could do.
I think that's such a good lesson for people to learn. How many people they prepare so hard, they get to the game, they get a little fear, they get a little doubt, and they abandon ship, abandon strategy, right? And either completely try to change up in the moment, which is not a good idea, or just stop, right? Yeah. Or don't go forward, which obviously isn't an option when you have 400 people like cheering, Kyle, you go need to stop, right? Yes. But which could even heighten the fear, the anxiety, the doubt, the uncertainty. It's I think it's important for us to crystallize that lesson that you're sharing with people, is that the preparation, it's all in the preparation, and then when you show up, you just execute the game plan that you prepared for. My coach in the minor leagues always used to say, Devin, pitchers cannot physically practice harder than they play. Mm-hmm. Right? That's one thing about the sport of pitching, or the art of pitching, is I can't go out there and let it rip every day, or else my arm's going to be sore and I'm not going to have maximum velocity. So we call it shadow repetitions, or watching film. And so we'd watch film and we'd do shadow reps for hours on hours on hours on hours on end without throwing a ball. And that preparation is much harder. You have to focus much more. It's boring. It sucks. You just sit there for 2 hours and act like you're throwing a baseball, and it's just so true. It's such a life principle, right? What else does fitness teach you in your life? What other what else is fitness a metaphor for? Is there anything that you and your family live by that might be a principle, a core value, a vision that you have, that when you show up to the gym every day, you're using fitness as a tool to get you to that?
I think just it being part of my life, I mean, even just being involved, what I want to set as an example for my kids. I grew up watching my dad play church softball, and he still, to this day, we play on the same team. We play in a competitive rec league, and it's just having that bond is a great experience. And so I want to be able to create that bond with my kids in sports and fitness, whether it's coaching or, helping them as they get older, and looking forward to helping them, do strength training. That field has come such a long way, especially in professional, sports and athletics, that I'm looking forward to being able to help them not only just, use the gift that God's given them, but also to excel and even take them to that next level. And so that's something that I'm looking forward to in the fitness realm in my family, is just to be able to do that for them, and hope that they get to go and compete collegiately in something that they love to do.
Right. Well, I'm sure watching. Well, I know, I'm not sure. Watching their dad on the floor, they were super inspired, because I think there's a point I looked over, and was it the chin up one? There's one event that you didn't do as well as you wanted to do on, mm-hmm. and I looked over, and your son was so upset. He was crying.
I wonder, yes.
He was crying, and it was cry. It was like a term of endearment of, I want my dad to win so bad, and he failed at this thing, and he was very sad about that. Did you have a conversation with him about failure in that moment?
It did.
What'd you say?
So he has a little bit of competitive side that
he's gotten
from
my wife and I. So it looks like a whole lot of it, Kyle. He was like on edge the whole time.
Yeah, he's that way on the baseball field, or the ninja camps that he does. Cool. Flag football. I mean, it's the competitive just is such a high level, and so it was funny. I had no idea initially. I'm like, okay, that was actually the one workout I didn't stick to my strategy. So, I had actually during training had hurt my arm, and that's why I was wearing the sleeve. And I'd kind of strained the bicep a little bit, and so I knew, like, if I'm going to be able to do this, I got to find something to help me get through that. And so I didn't really train for that one workout. And the one time I did it, I felt, okay, I got this many reps, but I'm like, let's see what I got. And so I went out there on that first round just seeing what I could do. And so it was a little bit against what my strategy was. And so, not finishing, yeah, I was a little disappointed. But yeah, to find out afterwards, and I walk over and my son's just like head down and so upset. I was like, what's up? He's like, he just wouldn't talk to me. And I'm like, it's all right. It's, there's going to be times in life that, you're not gonna, live up to even what you want to do, and as competitive as I am, there's times I fail. And so it's just knowing that, being able to work through that, grow through that, learn from that, and then ultimately just do better the next time. And that's what, going into the third workout, I told my wife, I said, I need to win this one. I have to win this one. If I'm going to have a chance and, to get to that final two, I have to win this third event and go in strong. And I did. And that's kind of when I started to grasp, hey, I can do this. The first two workouts, going in second place and then third place, not where I wanted to be at that point. But, I after that third workout, I really felt like I was getting stronger and I was ready. I prepared for the next day. And, that kind of is where I really realized that, I can overcome that failure and, come back and show my son, like, hey, you know what? That's okay. I didn't make it, but I'm going to keep fighting and I'm going to keep going, because I could have easily mentally just said, you know what? This isn't my year.
Yeah.
I'm injured a little bit. It is what it is. It's been a good time. I've had fun, met some new people.
That's good.
But,
That's good right there.
just working through that. I was in third after the first day. And so it could have easily been something that I just said, I'm good, do what I can.
How many people do that, right? How many
Exactly.
people say, which the reason why I'm like, oh, that's good, is because all those things that you said are so valid, and they're all true, and none of them are untrue, and you're not lying to yourself, and you're not you're making some illogical rationale or some unjustified reason. It's like, I've worked as hard as I can.
Yep.
This has been fun. Maybe I won't win. And all you go through all these things, but then it's that, like, what do you call that thing? I call it the edge, where it's just like, here's a better question. It's the reason you won. So why do you think that you won? Was it your strategy? Was it your mindset in it? Or was it something else, a combination of both? Why do you think that you won this event?
I think it was a combination of both, definitely.
Can you unpack your diet and training a little bit leading up? So unpack your strategy, and then you unpacked your mindset a little bit, but let's unpack your mindset, a little bit more, because I think that diet, training, and your mental clarity is the strategy, right? So let's talk through those three things.
Yeah, I'm definitely stronger in my strategy and mental, strength and clarity and stuff. The diet, that is one thing that, with the busyness of life and things, I'm not perfect at that whatsoever, and have to reach out for some sugar or an energy drink or something like that. And so I know if I'm going to be sitting here next year talking with you with a back-to-back win, that is one thing that will have to change.
Well, you're going to inspire a lot of other guys to compete, and you're going to have some competition, and you got to come defend the title, 100%, right?
100%. And I think that's going to be the biggest impact I can make is actually working on my diet and be a little bit more disciplined in that. So, that would be kind of one of my weak points going into that in the training, just because of so much stuff on my plate and things, and even lack of sleep and stuff like that are just vital to be able to perform at your highest level. And so I know those are areas that if I can improve with that next year, it's going to be a lot of fun too. But ultimately, I think just the mental clarity and stuff, it's just being focused in the moment. Was it exciting when people were cheering every single rep you did and counting them out? Absolutely. I dropped times by some of them by a minute and a half than what I practiced on my own. And so that adrenaline, that boost, that motivation, definitely helps that mental focus. Even though you're kind of tuning it out and focused on your own body, but it's that helps. But like the edge you're talking about, I think for me it's just that inner drive.
Yeah. Can you teach that?
I think everybody has something like that in their life. We have all gone through things in our life, whether it's in athletics or school or events or something that drives us to care about something. And so I think it's just finding that driving force in our life that will get us to push us past our comfort zone. And that's what it takes. I train when I work out at the camps. I train just like I do, and I work out just like I do at the finals. I'm on the floor at the end of a workout. There's going to be some rare occasion, okay, you have an off day and things, but most people will find me on the floor after a workout in the camp because, it's pushing that stuff. I'm not going to be able to go just walk right out the door, right. Because I want to push myself farther than when I even walked in that door. And so I think that's a big challenge, to give for everybody that walks into a burn, that is looking for, that it factor, in their fitness life. And, people, it's fine that, hey, I just want to be a little bit healthier in my lifestyle. But if you really want to get to that next level, it's finding that inner drive. It's finding that way to push yourself that extra rep. And as trainers, that's what we're there to do, help with that too. And kind of try and bring that out of people that maybe it naturally doesn't come to them. But I think everybody has that. It's just finding that deep inside.
How do we do that? Trial and error? Do we write? Do we meditate? Does it come to us if we're patient enough? How did you, obviously you found it early, and you found it through sports, and a lot of people find it through sports, but there's an athletic prowess that is needed in order to that is gifted to you in order for you to even possess that in a sport in the first place, to even have the table stakes to be competitive, right? Because if you're not a fast runner and you're not a miler, you're not a dog, well, then you're not even going to be interested in it because you have no chance, right? Yeah. So is it trial and error, do you think? Is it something that's bestowed upon you that you just figure out one day and it's a godly thing? Is it something your parents have a responsibility to help guide you toward? What do you think?
I think everybody's different, definitely. So they're all going to come to that point at a different time. But I think those that step in the door to burn, I think it comes down to that reason why did you even drive and pull up to that burn? What is that led you to take that first step in that door to say, hey, you know what? There's a reason I'm coming here. You just don't walk up to, a random store or a random fitness gym and just say, I'm just going to go in here and kind of look around. All of us went there with some sort of purpose. And so I think that in everybody's life probably can be that fire, that kindling fire to get to that point of finding what's going to drive you. Because I think that's the foundational point for each and every one of us is like, why did we show up there? Why did we come in the first place? So whether that's just, being healthier or, being part of a community or just, you've been in fitness all your life. And so you're looking for that next thing to challenge you. So there's so many different reasons. And I think each and every one of us has those. But I think that's where people can find it is like, think back to why you took that first step into the burn, first place. Yeah. I love that. I'm gonna think back and I'm gonna ask myself that question
because I think sometimes we also lose what really drives us, and if you don't remind yourself of it often, there's a chance that burning desire, that fire, can slowly dwindle down to an ember. And I've never let it get to that point, because we're self-aware, and we feel that fire, and we're at all-time high, and we start to feel demotivated a little bit. It's like, all right, time for some gasoline. Here you go, pour it on the fire. And so, yeah, I love that, and I think that's such a great philosophy and way to live life. And we're so congruent in the way that we think. It's no wonder why all of your members love you, because you're an amazing trainer, amazing dude. What do you want to say to your kids, your wife, your Holly Springs members? You get this opportunity to be on the stage at Burn Boot Camp in our little small world. It's a big deal. You're a big deal right now in our little small world here, and hopefully you feel a little bit of your a little 15 minutes of fame for this, and then next year it's again and again and again. Hey, you get back to back to back. You start to get like Gabby. Then you're just like, they're going to build you a statue, man. They're going to build you a statue, and it's going to be the Kyle Horner 3-time master champion statue. So, words of wisdom. Anything that you like to say while you have this platform with me here today, and I appreciate your time so much.
Thank you.
While you're here, to your Holly Springs members, to your family, to anybody else that's supported you along the way.
I mean, just this whole athlete games in general. It's I may have started out on that journey to I'm going to do this to prove to myself, but I think looking back, hindsight, and retrospectively, it's so much more than that. I mean, the seeing the response I got from all our members at Holly Springs, family, those that were watching on the computer, the TV. They're coming in and just saying how inspirational that was. I mean, I had some members come up and say, yeah, my husband was watching too, and like, he wants to join. He wants to push. I'm like, absolutely, that is awesome. And then there was I've had a couple of people ask me, like, so, like, do you work out elsewhere too? To get ready for something like this? I'm like, no. Yeah. I'm like, I put all the time that I have, sometimes it is literally only 45 minutes in a day to fit in a workout. I'm like, I pour it all out right there. I don't work out anywhere else. And so, I think it's just that dedication to, Burned and what it brings to people for fitness is a great thing. But even just some of the other situation, it was funny. We had one of our trainers. I walked in after work. I was going to go change to jump into one of the later afternoon camps, and I walked by, and her 3 kids were there, and I noticed as I walked by, they just all stared at me. And I mean, it caught my eye, but I didn't think anything of it. And so I come back out, they were gone, and she just laughed. She's like, "Sorry, I don't know if you noticed, but they were just staring at you." I'm like, "Yeah, I did." She's like, "Well, they watched you on TV that whole weekend, and they think you're a celebrity." So I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome."
That's super
so
cool.
it's just the impact, I think. So yes, I went into it and like to prove something myself. The coolest thing about the athlete games, and why I challenge that every trainer out there, especially those in the masters level, I hope we continue to bring it every year, to bring that level up, to push ourselves, because it's not just for us, it is for our gym. I mean, you ask your members to go out there and give their all day in and day out. So why wouldn't we do that?
Right.
I appreciate you giving us this platform for trainers to be able to bring that competitiveness and harness that, and that outlet for us as trainers. And so, I challenge people to be ready next year. Hopefully we'll have a record amount of people compete in regionals, because, I know Will and Matt and Brett and them and everybody else in all the other divisions. I hope they're all working hard. They're ready for next year, because it's exciting, and I think the athlete games can just explode, and so I think we can make an impact, on your at your gyms, just by showing that, hey, you know what, I'm going to do something out of my comfort zone too, and
That's
demonstrate.
the ad right there.
So,
That's the ad for the Masters next year. All right. So if you're listening to this, if you're a member or you are a trainer, Kyle's coming for you. So y'all better get ready. I don't even have to ask him. The last question on my list is: are you coming back to the Athlete Games next year to defend your title?
Absolutely,
Let's
absolutely.
go.
I was at the camp the very next morning at 5:30, and when I train, I always do like quotes on a board for that camp, just so they can have something to think about as they push themselves. And I wasn't training that morning, but I got on the mic and I said, "Hey, I got 364 days until I got to defend my title. What are you here for today?"
Let's go.
So,
I love
yes,
that. Dude,
I'm
fired
looking
up now.
forward
I'm
to
going
it.
to work out right now.
So I am looking forward to it, and I hope everybody else is. And if you didn't compete this year, get out there, because it's a great time. Build some great friendships. Get to know some of your other trainers. It's a blast, and you can make an impact. For lots and lots of people at your gym.
Kyle, dude, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Kyle, Holly Springs, everybody, your Masters Division champion for 2022. So fun today just being with you and being here and getting to know you deeper. I'm looking forward to continuing the relationship. It's going to be really cool. And guys, make sure that you subscribe. Flex on that subscribe button, all right? Kyle's going to share this with all you members in Holly Springs. Make sure you're sharing it out with everybody else. And get on the podcast, get on YouTube, because inside of the four walls of the gym, that's where we get after it, okay? But inside the four walls of our mind, we got to outside the gym. We're taking burn with us, right? And this is how you do it, right here on YouTube, on podcast, mental, emotional lessons from this man right here. Hit really hard today, and Kyle, we thank you again. 2 claps on 2, 1, 2.